the national anthem of Nigeria. After the count of three, one, two, three. Thank you very much. May we all be seated.
To start our activities. So the geographical targeting approach provides us with the opportunity to narrow down the most deprived. It's just like a situation of an accident scene where victims are being conveyed to the hospital. The doctor takes care of those that are critical cases. Our entire long-term goal is to saturate every local government, every community in the entire country. So that is the geographical approach that we apply in conducting our activities. The community-based targeting approach is the main instrument that we use in identifying the poor and the vulnerable in the community. And this approach comprises four main activities. And all of these activities take place in the community. One is the pre-sensitization. The second one is sensibilization and mobilization. Have community engagement and enumeration. I'll briefly explain. In pre-sensitization, our team visits the community and sensitize the head of the community and intimating about the activity of identifying the poor and vulnerable households in this community. The second visit is the sensitization and mobilization event. There, all stakeholders in the community will gather for the same team to come and sensitize them and intimate them about the program, and ask them to go and mobilize all members of their communities to come for what we call community engagement. Community engagement is the third step of identifying the poor and vulnerable. Provide everybody in the community to gather and support, where they'll be well sensitized, well mobilized, identify the poor and vulnerable households in their community using their subjective knowledge. Why do we tap into the subjective knowledge of the community members? Because we are strangers to the community. We don't have the knowledge of this. And by the way, poverty is related. As we move from community A to community B, the definition, the concept of poverty changes. So we use the subjective knowledge of the community members for them to bring out criteria that best suit them to identify those households that are poor and vulnerable. A comprehensive list is being developed with the consent of the community. They are the ones to identify the poor and vulnerable households. NASCO doesn't do that. We facilitate them to do that. So they come up with a harmonized list that a team of enumerators will come and use and visit those households that were so identified to enumerate their information. So basically, the process of building the National Social Register is scientific, it's inclusive, it's transparent, and accountable. So far, we have built a social register that houses over 19 million households. And that translates to over 8,000 individuals. So that is the wealth we have for this country. And the rationale of having the National Social Register is clear. The social register supports the first phase of delivery chain approach. Because, are you giving me warning? Let me know, please.
Probably the mic is not so it's giving you.
All right, let me stop. Let me stop.
So I'm allowing you to speak because your topic is very important so that you
It's
understand.
important to lay
Yes, that's the
background
part.
because that will spell
Yeah, so if you can conclude it.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the National Social Register is a rich document that contains data of the poor and vulnerable households. And quite a number of organizations talked about decentralization. I've been minded to carry out different social protection programs. Our biggest client is the federal government through the National KADSPAC. We also have the COVID-19 federal government intervention that utilize our data, not only at the federal, even at the subnational. Presently, we have the record of over 21 states that have different programs that have mined from the social register. And of course, the National Health Insurance Scheme also mined from the social register, not only government. We also have development partners. UNDP has mined from the National Social Register. UNDP has also mined. Give Directly has also mined. The World Food Program has also mined. Also, with private sector. So the Aluminum Foundation has mined register and carry out intervention. We have one, the ONA program, and many. In fact, the households that were mined and carry out different intervention from the social register are above 7 million households. So it is a low-hanging fruit that provide information that supports a lot of programs towards pro-war intervention. Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking us through. Please let's appreciate you. I hope we have a better understanding of what the social register is, the process, uh, how it is currently being utilized, and that is at the national level. So maybe we will take now a step down to the state level, where we would hear from the State Operations Coordinating Unit. Um, Yesterday, in His Excellency's speech, he made reference to the state social register. Uh, in his words, he said it's a credible register. So we'll use his words now to ask you, based on this credible register that his governor, His Excellency, has endorsed yesterday, what is the current status of the register in terms of those of the register? I would want to know the distribution, the disaggregation, persons with disability and all of that. I think that is key. But more importantly, we want to also know the level of utilization that we've had at the national. Then are there lessons that your office has learned in terms of how we can improve on the credibility of the register and also in terms of utilization? Because not only for government, like we heard at the national level, development partners, philanthropists, and the rest can also use the register. So over to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Jogobia Silvanus. I work for the State Operations Coordinating Unit, that's SOCO. Like you rightly mentioned, just for information, like the representative from NASCO rightly mentioned, we have the National Social Register, and then the National Social Register is an aggregate of all the state social register in the country with the FCC inclusive. So for Kaduna, we have about, rather, it's not about, we have exactly 4,449,873 individuals. And then household, we have 1,181,516. That is the household. And these numbers, we're able to get them in 12,322 communities in the state across the 255 wards in the 23 LGUs. Like you asked, with regards to the challenges, right, or utilization. Let me start with utilization. Like you mentioned, at the federal, so many partners have been able to mine from the NSR. However, at the state level, I don't know if we have community and social development here. Is there anybody from community and social development? Okay. Community and social development have mined from the register. Each foundation have mined from this register. Also, KADSPAC has equally mined from the register. And then so many, Qatar Foundation has equally mined from the state register. And so many partners. Also, let me mention here that even as individuals, you can equally mine from the register. If you are philanthropic enough, probably you just want to reach out, let's say even minimum of 5 persons. All you need to do is to come to SUPO. We have what we call a mining protocol. What it requires is that we have an MOU that we sign with you, and then we have a data request form that you will sign and indicate the category, the numbers, and all the variables that is required so that we will mine from the register exactly what you want. Um, then the last one, you talked about.
Yeah, challenges and also lessons.
Yeah, challenges, of course. Uh, you can't run away from challenges. Like I always say, if you remember, you mentioned about the process before. I don't want to repeat them. Um, all I would just say is that as simple as it is very tedious. Tedious in the sense that, like I earlier mentioned, we're able to generate this data in 12,322 communities. And what it means is that our teams had to go to these communities to generate this data. Like some of our communities or local governments are saddled with security issues that are major. And then we only have this challenge of how to reach the range. Some of the communities you have to go on canoes, you have to cross many hills before you get there. And then sometimes transportation could be an issue. Uh, some of the terrains, you have to maybe hire motorbike. What it means is that once you hire a motorbike, I mean, the motorbike has to wait for you in that community before you're through, before it brings you back. Lessons learned. Um, okay, I want to add the issue of apathy. Initially, when we started, there was apathy amongst community members. So one of the lessons I would say we have learned is that there is a need to do what we call aggressive sensitization. Sensitization in the sense that people should be sensitized across board so that when our community members, when our team go to these communities, community members should be able to uh, cooperate with them, and reach out so that people will come out and identify things that are poor and vulnerable in these communities. Also, there's need for interagency uh, collaboration, synergy. Why do I say so? When we started this exercise, uh, we didn't really have much partners. What I mean partners that that work with us have an issue. However, along the line, we had to engage, or rather, we had to partner with. I think KADSPAC was the first CLO that we worked with. What I mean by we worked with, because KADSPAC has community champions in most of the communities. So as our teams were going out, some of them assisted. I'm talking about KADSPAC champions assisted in the sensitization. So way forward, there's need for synergy. There's need for us to widen our post, widen our fellowship, widen our friendship, so that we can accommodate more partners. And by so doing, it will ease the work. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I can speak the fact that even when the community-based targeting process was carried out, KADSPAC was invited to the training, and our teams across the 23 local governments, including the world champions, also participated in the process, and we came out with our own report, which we also engaged. So thank you very much, Sue, for giving us that light. So you raised an issue of the collaboration with KADSPAC at the grassroots level. So one, the social protection champion from Kaura local government, who was part of that process, to share with us two key experiences quickly. One is around the community-based targeting process that he participated. Then two, if there are any intervention that the targeted was generated from social register that they were able to monitor in terms of implementation. So over to you.
Good morning.
My name is Istipanus Andrew. Just as I've been introduced, I'm the social protection champion from Coral Local Government. Uh, I want to say, just as the state of operating unit have said, so, and in NASCO, the process was a bit challenging, and it was just as he said, all the protocols that involve the processes, we followed from the inception of this process until the polishing process, even though I believe it's still on, the pre-sensitization and of course the sensitization and of course the enumeration process were together with the CPT team doing until today. There are programs around social register, is to carry us along. I want to say that, just as I've said yesterday, the people that were here yesterday can still remember. I said, like to me, you can never have a better social register than the one we have now, except probably if there is need for polishing the process, maybe going forward that will be done. Concerning interventions, there are a series of interventions that are taking place. I want to say categorically, I was supposed to be one of the people that would have benefited from the state scholarship when I was a student. I got the award later. Unfortunately, was not funded. And I believe that there are a lot of people that was through the social register, they got these interventions. And of course, the OLA project have become, because of this process, so important that the community, when they have interventions, some of them will look for me. There is an intervention like this. How do we go about it? There was also this cash transfer that was done sometime 2023 December for women, about 20,000 naira. I could come from Kora with some women, I think about 17 women, go access this fund, 20,000 naira for each woman. And it happened across all the 23 local governments. I met some of them. So I want to say that a lot of interventions are came through the names that were extracted from this social register, and it has made the community, at least most of these things are more transparent than they were before the initiation of the social register.
Thank you very much for sharing that experience. It's good to know that the register has been mined to carry out scholarship programs and as well as women intervention. So thank you very much. So we'll come quickly to the Kaduna State Enterprise Development Agency. One thing we would love you to tell us is a bit about the mandate of your agency, just generally what you do, as well as how do you target some of the beneficiaries that benefit from some of the interventions you carry out in your agency. I think that many of us would want to know that, and how do you design your programs to ensure that it improves household income and promotes inclusive economic empowerment. So you can take all of that in your comments here. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aisha Mohammed. I'm representing the Kaduna State Enterprise Development Agency. So our agency exists to support businesses in Kaduna State. So I'm talking about nano, micro, small, and medium enterprises. So basically, our aim is to help support local entrepreneurs in Kaduna State to achieve long-term success in this competitive market. So some of our services they're basically business development initiatives. So we provide access to finance, market, and information. So one of our programs is the ongoing program we have currently is Aboriginal Chief, which is a poverty alleviation program. So we're giving a grant of about 50,000 to 300,000 to particularly the nano enterprise. This usually comprises of just like one person, and we're talking about like the hotel sellers, grant sellers, and so on. So these are the people that were targeted in this program. So what we did in designing this program is we did a survey. We're interviewing to know about their challenges, and then design a program in a way that we know that about 50 to 300,000 will probably give them the push they need. And some of them it will even help them start up their business, and some it will even help expand the business. So we learned from one of the persons that one of the Warakanas that they're not even able to get the raw material. So what they do is they have an agreement with the seller, which they will get the raw material and then they sell the product. After selling the product, then they're able to pay them. So if you target such a Warakana and you give her 50,000, you've given her the push like she needs. You've helped her to even pay off probably the debt that she has incurred, and she's able to buy the raw material and probably even have some change left. And if she's someone that's already her business is stable, she might be able to even expand and employ other people to join. So that's what we're doing with this program. And also in the first cycle of the program, we noticed that there was some challenges. So when applying, most of the people that were targeted had to apply online. So we had to engage manpower in each of the 23 local governments to be able to help them with the application. So we had the hard copies printed and had them like explain the process of application and get the details from them, and then they were able to access grants. Also, another thing we noticed in the first cycle was that the requirement was too cumbersome. So we're targeting now, and you know, a lot of these people probably don't even have a bank account, and they don't have a lot of the documents that we requested. So we had to devise it in the second cycle to ensure that they are able to apply and they are able to get the grant as well. So another thing we noticed, so the financial support given to them, like I earlier said, help them expand and also expand the business and start the business and in any position to help that question.
I think you mostly answered most of the questions. I think the biggest one from there is around the nano businesses because it shows some level of inclusion. But do you deliberately target vulnerable groups like persons with disability in such kind of program? Do you have like a quota that they can always enter in and all of that?
Yes. So the program, even though we're targeting that, we make sure that there's a percentage of who are community students and mostly women and youth, because they are the most economically vulnerable in society and have limited access to financial resources and opportunities. So this program makes sure we tailor it and we kept like adapted to the humble area to ensure that each of the students are able to access.
All right. So thank you very much for those explanations. I think it was really educative. So I will quickly ask the last round of questions. I hope you have enough time for everyone to also respond to them. So I would like to quickly go back to Nassau. Sometime last year, the social register came under criticism. A lot of people have questioned the credibility of the social register. There are people that feel it is still not inclusive. The data is still not reliable in terms of accuracy in avoiding the error of inclusion and exclusion. What would you say to such skeptics of the social register? And also, secondly, how would the register help in terms of adaptive social protection programs?
Okay, thank you very much. The feedback we got from various programs that mine from our register have these facts that resident control. These people that we have mined for you, we have gone through to their existence. If the data wasn't credible, those development partners that I have mentioned wouldn't have mined for us. It's a public fact that this data that we have developed is from the community. We didn't develop it in isolation from the state government. This is the program that has enjoyed both the center and vertical synergy. The state governments all signed a memorandum of understanding to participate fully in the implementation of this activity. Though the federal government provided a fund through a welfare facility, but ownership resides with the state. They generated the data, and as I said earlier, NASCO just aggregated. So, for a state governor to say that this data is not credible, self-inaccurate. Because all we do is to aggregate it. We've empowered them, we've supported them with funds, technical support, down to the local government level. We've trained all implementers at state level. We've trained all implementers in the 774 local governments. We've provided support in all areas. And they went to the field and developed the register. So if a state disowns the register, it's like a breastfeeding mother denying her. You will agree with me that that came up when we had finished. And some of the governors didn't have time to sit down and study. The statement was made without due diligence carrying out concerning the social register. And I want to challenge anyone that is here, journalists that are here, stop this armchair criticism. Visit our office at the federal. Visit our office at the state level. They are not invisible. Mine the data as you want. Go to the field and find out. We are not saying that the data is perfect, but it's a good start for this country. Let me announce that globally, Nigeria is one of the few that have developed a credible social register in the world. And it's available. There are challenges around update. That is a fact. The data, the information we collect from the household is not static. It's dynamic. You go to a household, you meet a pregnant woman. The household size is 5. You move the next day, she is the battle. There is need for constant update. And to update the data is capital intensive. But we have an approach to that where we carry out the actual update. One of the approaches is when people mine from us and go to the field, they carry out validation. Update some of this critical information that they want to use. They come back and we match back to update. Our partner from Save the Children yesterday mentioned that in the design, we are expected to go back to the field after 3 years of update. But we have not yet saturated. Do we now stop and go back to update? Anyway, it's capital intensive. So the data is really alive. Whoever the doubts come up, the minister then went to Lagos and she confirmed the existence of social register. As I'm talking to you now, states have taken ownership of the social register and they have gone beyond what we have done. Lagos has established a department dedicated to social register. So they have taken a step beyond what the project has provided. The other question,
About, how the register can help in terms of adapting social
Yes.
during
So,
crisis and all of that.
yes, I've said earlier that the National Social Register support the phase of delivery chain social protection. It's a gateway for potential inclusion of people into various programs who need it most, thereby reducing poverty. And basically, it plays two roles. One is the social policy role as inclusive system, whereby everyone with different background is being registered. You don't need to belong to a political party or a particular religion. That is the beauty of the social register. So it plays the role of bringing everybody on board, providing access to social protection. The other role is operational role as information system to ensure that the social register has information on individuals with 138 data points ranging from household to individual record. So information that you need critically in taking decisions to design programs is found in the social register. So that supports adaptive social protection responses to crisis. We have also gone ahead to develop what we call the Rapid Response Register, RR, during COVID-19. The CBT process is a bit conventional and not flexible. When COVID hit Nigeria, there was need for us to quickly develop a register to capture those who have been knocked down into poverty as a result of the COVID-19. So we came up with a satellite technology that allows SMS to be sent across areas that we have identified, urban areas, because COVID-19 came and there was lockdown. People couldn't go out, specifically those in the urban areas, to carry out their daily activity. And many of them fell into poverty. So we deployed the satellite technology to quickly register those who are falling into poverty. The federal government carrying out intervention on that. So we have developed a framework that can be deployed at any times of crisis for social protection. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very educative points you have raised. So I'll quickly go back to Sofu. In line with some of the issues you have raised, how do we Kaduna now regularly update and review the register? Considering the fact that our population growth is about grows at about 3.18%, and that means the possibility of more people falling into poverty is there. So how do you regularly update? Some might have lost their lives, some might have relocated, and all of that. So that's the first question. The second question quickly is, how are you integrating the data between the register and the financial inclusion effort of the state government in terms of integrating data? Because we said we have about 2.1 billion financially excluded people in Kaduna State. So how do we ensure that the data you have, all of the people there are financially included? So those are the questions. What you say?
Good morning once again. I think basically your question is around update and then integration, right? So first of all, I will just say, like he rightly mentioned, that by design, the register is supposed to be updated in every 3 years. However, because of the capital intensive nature of the exercise, that has not taken place. However, what has taken place, I would say, is the passion of initially when we started uh, generating the data, there were some variables that were not in the register. Initially, there was no name, and then there were no bank accounts. However, it's work in progress. We have done that. Uh, we've been we've done some form of partial update, and you bear me witness because of that challenge with the humanitarian ministry. There was a kind of a pause in the exercise, but hopefully, like you mentioned, there is a new program manager, and he mentioned that she's yet to assume. She's still studying the situation and all that. So hopefully by the time she resumes fully, I'm sure that will continue. Secondly, in respect to the integration of the financial uh, inclusion and what they call financial inclusion and literacy committee, uh, we were able to, like the SCS they mentioned, they were able to generate data, and then the chairman confirmed yesterday the data was brought to us, and then we did what we call cross matching of the data that they had generated, and then one in the SR. Interestingly, of course, we had some match, there were some names and some information that were already in the register. So what we did was those that were not in the register, we had to do what we call validation. We used our enumerators, they went to the field, and then they were able to get information about those that were generated by the Financial and Inclusion Committee. So after that was done, the next stage was data cleaning exercise. Of course, that would require cleaning of the data. But first of all, let me mention, before that actually happened, we had to write to NASCO for permission because that form of data is more or less what we call self-target, and it falls under this subset of the National Social Register. So we had to seek for permission from NASCO. When we received that permission, that was when the whole integration took place. So I can confidently tell you that the data that was generated by the Financial Inclusion Commission Committee has been integrated into the state register. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that is very interesting that that has been done. It shows that Kaduna is a step ahead of many states in terms of integrating its data. And I think it also makes a lot of sense that we are also integrating with NIN and all of those other systems. So thank you very much. We'll go back to Mr. Adam, and it's just to also share your thoughts on what you think can be done differently from your observation of someone at the grassroots that is in contact with the people at the grassroots that know their mentality. Are there areas that during the process you wish would have been done differently? And based on that context, what would you recommend?
Thank you very much. Most importantly, just as I think NASCO have mentioned, there is need for sensitization. It's very, very clean because already I think the numerators have been to the field more than 2 or 3 times from the first enumeration process, the partial update, and then the last process that was done, I think about 3 times. And the concept that the people have down in the community is that the government are going to share money for these people. So having this kind of concept, and then the enumerators going back to the field the second, the third time, they have a feeling that money will be coming very soon. So the third time when they went to the field was a challenge because they said, you came here the first, the second, the third time you come, you're disturbing us, I've not benefited anything from it. So please, if this thing is not going to function, just allow us, give us a rule. So there was this challenge of the people were careless about coming out to give out their information. Even when you go to some houses, they will tell you to leave the house, that you are wasting their time. Hence, from onset, they thought something will come up immediately, and today nothing has happened. So there is need for massive sensitization down in the communities, so that the people who understand the concept of the social register and the essence and the importance of them giving out the information for update. I think that's key. And secondly, when it comes to intervention and the mining of these names from the social register, you would have mentioned that the Soklu mentioned that they used to come and write an MOU. I want to believe that if they are writing the MOU, you should also come up across that if these philanthropists or whoever it is that is mining this data are not really serious about giving out these interventions or support, they should please not even give the people hope. Because it's one of the things that make aggravate the people. At the end of the day, you see that if this intervention didn't come, if enumerators are going back to the field for anything at all, it will be to make it difficult for them to have the information needed for whatever it is that will happen. So this will deny us access or the enumerators access to important information going forward. Because I witnessed cases where names will be best at times for interventions. At the end of the day, maybe among the people that will pick only a few benefit greatly. Just as I have stated my own case of state scholarship, some people actually benefited the funds. I only had the data, and the funds were not released to me. So I know that there are a lot of people that face the same challenge. Probably they are relaxed that they will be funded for their studies. And at the end of the day, they had to go the hard way able to fund for their studies. So this should be put to check. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, and give Kadida. So from what you shared earlier on, what you do at Kadida, a critical question that came to mind is how do you really monitor and evaluate the impact of the support you provide in terms of business sustainability, in terms of how it is improving household income and even consumption? Is it how is it contributing to reduction of unemployment and all of those statistics that I know government is working towards addressing? Because at the end of the day, um, we are looking at it, not just people have been giving. So now that you're giving them, what is the result of, do you have any way of monitoring and evaluating that so that we know that there is value for money for every person that gets that money and government can get its own dividends in terms of even revenue? Because if you look at the revenue breakdown of the state, direct tax assessment, which is nano businesses and other businesses as well to government used to get revenue from. But it's one of the lowest in terms of performance. So what are you doing in terms of ensuring that these programs are really meeting the target in terms of value for
To speak more on
money?
aspect of the business program that we're offering to non businesses. So alongside that, we also have capacity building to how they can efficiently and effectively utilize the money they're receiving. Because a lot of them, okay, because a lot are not they're not exactly, they usually use the money maybe to address immediate needs, but they don't know maybe how to invest, how to expand on their businesses. So This second cycle, I think it's just the business round, but we're looking at the next cycle. So the capacity building training, where we look across the three senatorial districts, make sure that there's a place where these beneficiaries get to know how to learn to, first of all, improve their skills, and then the money received, how to the money received, how they can use it efficiently to with their businesses. So at that stage, that's when the MIE, we have a system, we have working currently the work in progress on how to track and see how this in the long term, what are the effects? This that how it's impacting their economic and social.
Yes, so thank you very much. It's good to know that the MIE system is being developed. Yes, and I think even as civil society, we're interested partnering with you, but where we can also track and provide feedback because this is public funds. And if government is distributing it to people for a certain purpose, then it is our responsibility to ensure that that money is being utilized so that we get the developmental outcomes improved in the state. So thank you very much to our panelists. Please let's appreciate them. I think all right.
Yeah, I just want to make use of this opportunity to mention here that our office is open to collaboration. Like I said, there's need for synergy, there's need for collaboration because we have the manpower, we have over 230 enumerators across the 23 LGs. We equally have over 276 team members across the 23 LGs. Why am I making this? Most of our team members are permanent and pensionable staff, they are government employees, and so there is a lot of credibility attached to that. So we can hold them responsible for any engagement or any exercise that we engage them. Thank you.
Right. So thank you very much. I think it is time for questions and comments. So the moderator will help coordinate that.
Wow.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, may we please appreciate our panelists and our moderator for the justice to this session. Also, permit me quickly to acknowledge the presence of the Director General, Kaduna State Bureau for Substance Abuse. So you're welcome. Also, permit me to acknowledge the presence of the Special Assistant to Governor on SDGs. Thank you. At this juncture, permit me to also, in summary, briefly, translate what transpired during the panel session for our esteemed listeners in Hausa. Masu girma bakinmu, zan yi bayani a takaice dangane da abubuwan da manyan baki suka tattauna a wannan bangare wanda suka yi bayani akan wato kundi na tattara bayanan al'umma wanda gwamnati take taimaka musu a wannan jiha ta Kaduna. Daga cikin bayanan da suka yi a takaice sun yi bayani akan cewa a jihar Kaduna kadai muna da mutum sama da miliyan 4 wayanda suke cikin wannan kundi na bayanai. Sannan cikin mutum miliyan 4 da muke da su a jihar Kaduna wayanda suke cikin wannan kundi sun fito ne daga iyalai kimanin miliyan 1. Sannan kuma sun fito ne daga cikin wato gundumomi al'ummomi kimanin 12,000. Sannan kuma daga cikin bayanan da suka bayar sun yi bayani akan cewa sama da mutum miliyan 2 a jihar Kaduna wato abinda ake cewa financially excluded wato ba su da daman su sami wato abubuwan da ya shafi harkan banki ko harkan hada-hada ta kuɗi a zamanance. So fiye da mutum miliyan biyu ba su da wani dama. Daga cikin ƙoƙarin da gwamnatin jihar Kaduna take yi, ta samar da wannan kundi wanda wato gidauniyoyi da wasu hukumomi na duniya suka zo su tuntuɓi hukumomin da muke da su a jihar Kaduna domin su cire sunaye wanda za su amfani da su domin a tallafa musu. Bayanan da aka yi suna da matuƙar yawa, amma wannan shi ne a takaice, kuma a daidai wannan lokaci za mu ba da dama ne domin tambayoyi, kuma za mu ba da dama na musamman ga wanda za ta yi tambaya ko zai tambaya a yaren Hausa. We have a special slot for our Hausa listeners to also ask a question. We also want to have also a slot for our esteemed partner, Save the Children, to make a comment. That's making two. Then allow 3 more participants to please ask their questions to the panelists. We'll allocate numbers randomly. So can we do it this way? One from the government, perhaps one from the private sector, one from the CS. From the government, I can see my personal head.
Remember, we have representatives from 3 states.
Absolutely. One slot for our combined team from Kano, Katsina, and Jigawa. So please nominate one person among yourselves. I can see my Kano brother already raising that. So maybe he's representing them. Thank you. So Kano has one slot. Sir, okay.
What I'm saying, this is not a public-sponsored bill where people come together, have one to be represented. There are specific issues. If I have the mic, let me raise my concern. Can I?
Okay. By the permission vested on me as the MC, you are granted a permission.
Thank you very much, the senior MC. I wish the representative of all parties here, because working around social protection is not about intervention alone. It's about bringing people out of the government. And unfortunately, we are not looking at the side where the problem is coming all the time. Our major problem has to do with some of the international interventions we are having in this country, of which World Bank and other donor or money lending partners are contributing immensely. There is no way why you can give a country like Nigeria a loan and give some stringent measures within which the country must comply before you access that facility. That is where the issues like remove subsidy, remove intervention in electricity, reduce the way you are intervening in the education, remove the value of currency are coming up. So long as Nigeria and the Nigerian state will not stop accessing loan from outside the country, will continue to have poverty, will continue to have miserable economic situation, and people will continue to be in abject poverty. Then this poverty will increase, then we'll continue talking about social intervention, social protection, social this and that. I want to call the attention of the government, civil society, and other partners that are here. We need to face this issue. Excessive taking of loan is one of our major problems that we need to address before we come to anything that has to do with social protection, and before we see the result of social protection intervention in this country. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir, honorable representative, from Jigawa or Katsina, sir. From Katsina State. Your comment is well acknowledged and noted by our panelists. I think let's go in that direction. Let's allow Kano to make their comments. Then Jigawa also, okay, that's fine. Then we can move to our government and our partners.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning all. My name is Dallas Olani from Kano State, Minister of Land and Budgets. I would like to commend Soku, NASCO representative, for the highlight you gave to us in terms of social register. When you look at the social register, sir, it's one of the crucial tools that has been brought in this country by the federal government in collaboration with World Bank. A lot has been achieved through that. But however, looking at the financial constraint, I don't know what are the when you look at the coverage in terms of targeting the number of the beneficiaries to benefit from the NSR and social register in the country, also in the states we are coming from. I don't know, when you look at the current statistical data by maybe border, that has already been analyzed by UNICEF and also the multidimensional poverty survey index in the country. Looking at the coverage of the social register, I would like to ask, what are the mechanisms put in place to cover non-identified or non-targeted local governments and also communities in the country, so that more poor and vulnerable can be integrated into the national social register for them to benefit from such social intervention, social protection intervention, in order to reduce the level of poverty and vulnerability in the country. That is that. Secondly, and I would like to ask also the SOFO from Kaduna State, in terms of collaborative efforts, you are trying to maybe in terms of collaboration between SOFO and budget and economic planning, because when you look at the Kaduna statistics in terms of poverty rate and also the level of unemployment, without fostering collaboration between these two important agencies, so the decision, proper decision cannot be made in terms of budgeting, so that the amount of resources can be allocated enough, by the government to address some of these issues. Then, thirdly, don't worry, it's okay.
By the authority vested on me as the MC, you are restricted to 2 questions, sir.
Thank you so much for your opportunity given to me. Thank you so much.
May we please take Jigawa State briefly? The 2 questions have been noted by the panelists.
My name is Pura Bishop, Jigawa State Institute of Budget and Planning. So my question goes directly to the representative from Soku. Sir, thank you very much for your well elaborated explanation with regard to how the social design is formulated. And fortunately, I also had a team that formulated social system from Jigawa State. Then, what to say, up to date, we're able to mind at least 704,000 head of households, and individuals 202,967,000, and some figures on top. But I was amazed to see that by the federal government there is a move to have social staff. So I don't know actually whether today there is a soft landing with regard to the stoppage of social staff. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Jigawa State. Secretary International, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone. I have one brief comment and a question directed at NASCO. The comment is that at the peak of the challenges around the social register, rejections, counter rejections, and all of that, your very own Jessica led an advocacy visit to the Director General of the Nigerian Governors Forum in Abuja. And during the discussion, a call was placed over because there were three governors that were critically challenging the social register. Our very own governor here, the governor of Anambra, and the governor of Zamfara. During that courtesy call, Jessica, if you remember, the call was placed across to the governor of Zamfara, and then he accepted the social register and was willing to work with the agency. We also reached out to the chairman of the governor's forum, that's the governor of Kwara, and then he was willing to meet with the team and also meet all the governors in his teams to have a deliberation. In other words, you sounded very convinced with regard to the process of generating the social register. However, the challenge I see, I may be wrong as a person, one missing link is effective communication, and therefore comes my question. What is your strategy towards communicating not just the process, but also the content and those using the social register to the strategic partners concerned in a way that they will accept it? I remember you said any governor rejecting it is like a mother, breastfeeding mother, not accepting, rejecting the child. But it is beyond that. We have to face reality. The reality of the matter is that some people, yes, breastfeeding mothers are rejecting the child. What do you intend doing to see to it that the breastfeeding mother accepts her child breastfeeding? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Malam Suleiman Kashma. And the last question will be from our esteemed House listeners. Ina so mu samu mutum ɗaya da za ta yi tambaya da manyan baki mu. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Kudos to the panelists for this wonderful discussions. Mine is not really a question, but a comment. When the discussions were going on, I just picked an area of interest around the Enterprise Management Agency because of the mandate that she read out. And I see for us as Patchmark and the intent of us to target more of the informal sector community under our scheme, I think it's an area that will come and really work closely, partner with you to ensure that those beneficiaries under the NANO scheme are really sensitized to be incorporated into to register with Patchmark. And also for SOCO, they have been our partners and we'll continue to work closely with them. Very soon, discussion is on for the next round of enrollment of the vulnerable population under the non-secondary health scheme. And we'll talk with the management. One area I want to also emphasize on is the submission made by the representative from Save the Children. Advocacy is very, very key. And like he mentioned, we cannot rule out the fact that there may be challenges around the reservoir register that we have, but as much as possible, people need to be aware that something like this is happening and to ensure that the active beneficiaries that are captured on this register really represent the vulnerable population that we want to see this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kashma. The last question from this. Okay, we have Hajia there at the center. Please let her have the mic.
Assalamu alaikum. Na kwana uku. Na gajiya. Mun gode Allah ta sa da alkhairi. Mun dai mun gode ma Allah muna samun wannan tafiya. Kuma mun gode. Amma mu matsalolin da yanzu wasu mu da dama a cikin mu sunayen mu bai zo dai da abubuwan da aka ɗaukar mana batun farko. Muna da matsaloli da dama. Wani sunan shi sunan mijin shi ne akan abin da aka ɗauka. Wani kuma akan katin ɗan ƙasar shi da banki sunan shi ne da sunan baban shi. To yanzu matsalar da nake da shi kenan akan gyararrakin da aka ce za a yi mana saboda samun tallafi na gaba da muke sa rai. Kuma muna da yawa da dama a kowane ɓangare akwai wannan matsaloli. Saboda haka wasu kuma ba su samu ba daga cikin abubuwan su ma bai fito ba. Sun samu ainihin wannan ID card ɗin amma ba su samu ATM ɗinsu ba har zuwa yanzu ba su kai ga wannan tallafin. To saboda haka muna roƙo don Allah a taimaka mana a mana gyara yadda kowa abin shi zai zo daidai da yadda abin shi yake faruwa. To mun gode Allah saka da Allah ya ƙara taimaka.
I mean, may we please appreciate Ajia for this very intelligent question. And I think this is directed towards either NASCO or SUKU. I will hand over to the moderator to please attend to the questions.
All right, thank you very much for your questions. So we'll take one minute to forgive us. If you need more information or explanation, you can as well meet them individually because this is also a networking event. So we'll just give a minute each because we've exceeded our time for this panel discussion just to respond to those areas we think need to be responded. But the three key questions I know have been targeted to Soko and Nasco and Kadida. So we'll start with Kadida.
I think the specific question for Suku is around collaboration, right? The Kano representative. I don't know how it works in Kano, but for Kaduna, the Minister, rather, Planning and Budget Commission here, they are known as Planning and Budget Commission. The unit, by design, is supposed to be domiciled at the Planning and Budget Commission. So when you talk about budget, Planning and Budget Commission or Ministry of Economic Planning are saddled to that mandate of budgeting. And how we do our budgeting in Kaduna is that health circulars are sent to all the MDEs, and then the MDEs will now come up with their draft budget. And then thereafter, the budget will be presented during the budget defense. So, issues around budgeting for SP, social protection activities, or otherwise, are usually taken care of during the budget defense. As to collaboration in Kaduna for SOFO, we have been collaborating with MDs. Like the gentleman from Kachma said that we're collaborating with Kachma. Kachma has mined from our data several times. And then other MDAs that we'll be collaborating with, we have health, we have human services, or we have even UNICEF. Through human services, we have collaborated and mined from our data. I think it had to do with the out-of-school children that they mine from our data. So collaboration is key. You know, like I talked about Senate, you know, and like I mentioned, one of our challenges is around hard-to-reach terrain. In one of our engagements, we found out that the Ministry of Environment has what we call forest guards. And these are people that are very familiar with these terrains. So that's
Can you summarize it in 30 seconds?
Okay, in a nutshell, collaboration is key, and that is going to continue. Thank you.
All right, like we said, you can always meet him after this panel discussion to get more.
Okay, thank you very much. The first one was a comment around international conspiracy. I agree with you, and I'm not against conspiracy theorists. But what I'm trying to do, also want to emphasize here, is the fact that most of the modern laws, international laws we have, provide opportunity for country to negotiate and contextualize. Rwanda is the best example. Concerning the issue of coverage and expansion, I quite agree with you. When we started, the target was just 2 million households. But as time progressed, there was need for expansion and coverage. And the government negotiated with the banks. Initially it was 24 states. Now the government negotiated and expanded it to cover all the 26 states. And the target has changed to 5 million. Today, they're talking of 10.2 million using the scale up that we have. But beyond that, we encourage state governments, now local government, to take ownership. Federal government has set something for us to work with. It's a good foundation. It's a good document. It's a good database. All we need to do is to work on it. We can't just throw away the bath and water with the baby. It's a good start for us. We can institutionalize it. We can expand it. We can create a budget space so that we can have gradual saturation to get our ultimate goal. Concerning what Iman listed, I quite agree with him. We have also identified that the key problem is lack of advocacy, sensitization, and awareness. Our communication expert in-house are working towards that. And in the NAPS issue, the communication strategy has covered all areas that needs to be paid attention to reach out to people, critical stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Concerning the question one asked in Hausa, this is one of our food soldiers who has experience around that. Response to you. Thank you.
Bisa ga tambayan da ke a kan cewar sunayen da suka fita a list ɗin da kuma daga baya ne ba su yi daidai ba. To matsalar da ake samu shi lokacin da an zo doka wayan sunayen ba kowa da kowa ne aka kira ba. An dauke mutane representative na mata da matasa da kuma people with disability. Mutum kusa a group na mutane guda biyar. To babban matsalar da aka samu shi ne wayannan group ɗin ba kowa bane yake sane duk da yanzu kun ga an saba a ce maman wani baban wani. Lokacin da za a zo a ce to me sunan wace ai maman wani ba mamaki wasu kuma suna da suna fiye da guda ɗaya. Wasu kuma a takardun bankin su sunan iyayensu ne, wasu kuma sunayen mazan su ne. To so da dama wancan mutum na abun a wasu suna na abu zai su ba da sunanki da sunan mai gidanki. Kuma ba mamaki information naki na banki sunanki ne da sunan baba. To hakan ne yasa aka samu waɗanda matsaloli lokacin da ya zo lokacin taimako. To amma hakan ne bai ɓace ba. Going forward, a hankali ne za a iya a samu ce wannan matsala. So sai mu ƙara haƙuri.
So I think also maybe Angama Sofu can also that way some shi daga Sofu sai kara bayani yadda za ku yi kuma ina ake a gyaran da za yi. So thank you very much everyone. Once again, please let's appreciate panelists. Sorry we took much more time and really appreciate. So I'll officially hand over to the MC as I urge our panelists to take their leave. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yusuf Goji, for the justice to this plenary session. Ladies and gentlemen, may we please appreciate our panelists as they go back. Thank you very much. At this juncture, it is our honor to invite the chairperson, Kaduna State Social Protection Accountability Coalition, so please come forward for the next presentation. permit me to modify this particular item to allow an interlude, which is a video on social protection in Kaduna State. Please enjoy this video. Thank you.
Social protection, social opportunities, sometimes the one thing after the other. When we were done with that, we took on the legislation. Because by the time we were done with the policy, the children was for to the Kaduna Social Protection Summit.
Ladies and gentlemen, we wish to extend our sincere apologies for the technical issues in displaying the video documentary on social protection in Kaduna State. However, we wish to proceed with the next plenary session. The first session was very interactive and very interesting. And trust me, this session will be even more interactive and more interesting for all of us. It is our singular honor and privilege to hand over to the moderator for the next session, the chairperson for KADSPAC, Mrs. Jessica Bartholomew, to please lead us to the next plenary session. We will please appreciate you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon once again. Apologies for the timing. We are having some issues for documentary. It is stable now. Do you think we could be stable? Or we should continue? Okay, we could start. Okay, so I'm going to be calling on stage the panelists for the next session, which is going to be talking about social welfare, inclusion, and protection as a tool in reducing poverty in Kaduna State. Please welcome on stage the Director General KADSIPA. The second panelist, please welcome on stage the Executive Secretary for KADSPAC, the representative of Ministry of Human Services and Social Development, the representative of KADMA, Kaduna Maternal Accountability Mechanism. Please welcome on stage the representative of KADSPAC. Do we have representative from Kaduna Pension? Okay, so we don't have pension here, right? KADMA. Please welcome the representative of UNICEF. Where's our UNICEF representative? And the representative of KADSIPA. Representative of KADSIPA. I think some people step outside. Can you call them? Their session. Okay, KADSIPA is here. KADSIPA. UNICEF. Okay, she's outside. Please tell her to come.
Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to announce the presence of the Executive Secretary, Kaduna State Disability Affairs Board, Hajia Rekina Umar. Ma'am, may you please come forward and sit in the front? Thank you. Moderator.
Okay, so we still have two people that are not here with us. Okay, UNICEF representative is here. Do we have KADMA or KADSIPA present, please? There's no representative from KADMA or KADSIPA. Okay. Thank you. Okay, good afternoon, my panelists. I will try and be as brief, and I hope my panelists will indulge me in being as very brief in your responses. As well as you are allowed to also be innovative with your responses. So you could also give us evidence if you want to showcase, have a presentation, you're allowed to do that. The only thought is it has to be 1 minute. So we're going to start with the present, with the questions. I hope we're ready. So I'm going to start with Kachma. Of course, you know you are wearing 3 caps. The Honorable Commissioner said that you can take care of everything. We should just be asking you all the questions. Okay, so do we have another mic? Okay, can we get the mic for is it on? Okay, so the first question goes to Kashma. How can social insurance be designed to better address emerging risks and vulnerabilities? That's your first question.
Good afternoon. I'll be introduced. My name is Savannah Abubakar, the Director General for the Comprehensive Contributory Health Management Authority, CADSPAC. Well, in order to design a social insurance program that truly addresses emerging risks and vulnerabilities, one requires a really comprehensive design package, because the target audience for this social innovation program, are people, and people are dynamic in nature, and the environment under which they live also evolves by virtue of that dynamism. So you must have an inclusive coverage that recognizes the health needs of this vulnerable population. So you cannot have a system that addresses emerging risks and vulnerabilities without understanding also the nature and characteristics of the vulnerable population. For example, an indigent pregnant woman. What are those associated risks with a pregnant woman? We all know, we all hear of maternal mortality. We also hear of neonatal mortality in the state. So you want to have a social program that addresses the peculiarities of people that are predisposed, that have a risk associated with maternal mortality. So you must have a package or a health plan that covers all these issues around this vulnerability of the people, whether they are children under 5, whether they are vulnerable populations. Beyond the package, from the coverage, is the package. Is your package also flexible enough to be able to address short-term relief as well as long-term support? For example, my brother, Dr. Joe, is sitting right here. When you take in someone into the facility, do you have a plan that addresses items that allows us to be able to address those issues in the immediate need, which are termed short-term relief program? How flexible is your program? So you cannot design or have an inclusive program that is not flexible enough. Beyond that, also, you want to also enhance what service delivery, because now you have covered, which you have a cover that is inclusive. You also have a package that is flexible. You also at the same time require what the need to enhance your service delivery. And how do you do that? You must provide platforms that allow people to be able to, what, to access what information, for example. You must also provide platforms that allows you to be able to reach the people who are undercover, for example. So leveraging technology is very key as far as when you are thinking to design a social program around it, because you want to be able to reach these people. For example, specifically looking at the contributory scheme in Kashmir, very soon we will be launching, for example, the in and outbound call center program that allows us not just to be inbound, allowing people to be able to reach us, but rather we want to reach out to people. We want to encourage utilization by contacting the people. That is quite important. So having said that also, in designing such a program, we want to also at the level of the community, we want to foster community engagement. There are structures at the local government level that your plan or your structure must be able to address, because you want to use such platforms to be able to foster what engagement. You want to use those platforms to educate, to sensitize the people at the local level, because they would want to know what is going on. You want to also keep them abreast of information. So these are all strategically key to designing a system.
Thank you. Okay, you want to add something more?
Yes, which is very key. At the state level, where the state actors are actors, because these are non-state actors, but at the level of the state actors, I would say interagency collaborations are very key in terms of designing programs that address these vulnerabilities, whether they are social or not. And so, before now, the panel that you had them stress more on this interagency collaboration. You're hearing today that I want to collaborate with KADSPAC. You're seeing SOGO collaborating with KADSPAC collaborating with the Bureau of Substance Prevention and Treatment. You know, interagency collaborations are key, because we're dealing with what issues that relate with a segment of the population that is a social welfare program. So you need that, because what we do cross cuts all of these different agencies. And so I need to know where to leverage on the Bureau of Substance Abuse. Bureau needs to know where to leverage on the opportunities around catch-up. So these are very key components of what we need to put on ground in designing a system within the social health social program around the vulnerable population.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I move from you, I just need you to put this in your mind before I go back to you again. Some of the issues that I'm now bringing it down to the existing issues around the usage of your platform. For instance, your services are tilted toward the formal sector, which you can't control, right? Because you have access to their payment system, the government can easily remove 1% and say this is for their health insurance. Are we thinking of how we can get that done in the informal sector that has huge number of the population who do not have jobs to do? So I need you to start thinking through this particular scenario I've just painted so that you respond. I'll come back to you.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm going to go to KADSIPA. Because KADSIPA was about social investment programs, right? And providing social protection, we need to give some level of support, either in terms of assistance, right? Social assistance, it can be in form of cash transfers, social assistance. It can be in deployment of cooks for the home growth feeding program, and so on. So, what do you, well, in terms of implementation of the social protection policy, what are the challenges? Because we have a policy, right? So what are the challenges? Why do we still see high number of poor and vulnerable people looking at your mandate to ensure that everybody has some form of support, whether in risk, whether in shock and vulnerability? So why do we have about 8.4 million people poor in Kaduna State? Why?
Good morning, all of us here. My name is Alpha Musa. I'm from KADSIPA, Head of Operations. Now, there is no implementation without challenges. That is one. In the social protection aspect, we've gone a long way in implementation. Policy has been adopted, and concerning implementation, we are there for the poor and the vulnerable. We mine this data from SOCO. Now, also in the poor and the vulnerable, we also have categories like poor, the critically ill. We have the aged that we consider too. We have the urban poor, and then we have fourth one, people with disabilities. All of them are presented here. I see them seated. Yesterday there were more than this. We have the critically could not brought here because of the situation they have. But disabilities, some of them are here. The poor and the vulnerable, some of them are here. The aged, they were around yesterday, but they couldn't come today because their nature of. Now, the state has done a lot to this people to alleviate them from poverty. Concerning the social protection, we have to talk with facts. Yes, facts and figures. So I would like to read some of the statistics that we have. Now, concerning the social protection, the state has been able, through KADSIPA, has been able to have and adopt 2,920 beneficiaries. Yes, this is just a few number here. And also, the present government came in with a larger figure of 5,136. This is a livelihood grant. Now, we also have the conditional cash transfer that has gone to benefit 70,000 beneficiaries, 70,051 beneficiaries for the household. Also, with the renewed hope program that is ongoing, we have 163, thousand. It's ongoing now. Now, this program is able to bring up some family out of poverty, especially in the area of school, where we had a large number drop out from school. That number has drastically reduced with the help of this program. And also concerning health, some of them now can be able to afford going to hospitals. And then in the area of livelihood, the meager that they are given, they are able to turn it around, do some trading to add value in the idea of an asset. When we started, they were not looking like this, but now they are looking much better, isn't it? So the program has so much enriched, cut across the 23 local government, our beneficiaries, and they are looking much better. You said so much. Through KADSIPA, we've done a lot. We've done a lot.
Okay, thank you very much. We will be talking about this program. But let me go to the VG of KADSPAC. And I'll be talking about social welfare. So far, we've spoken about social insurance. The Cashman has told us about social insurance, and we've spoken about social protection in terms of social investment. We've seen what the government has rolled out. But is it enough to cover 8.4 million who are vulnerable people? I'm saying it because even my name, I think I'm inside the poor and vulnerable. And I've not listed any of the things that you are saying they are giving you. So I'll just keep that one aside. For KADSPAC, social welfare programs, how do you think they should be designed to reduce shocks, risks, and vulnerability?
Thank you. So when we talk about social welfare programs, we mean those programs that government puts in place to help people feed, to help people meet their basic needs. So the fundamental assumption is that at some point in time, there are people in society who cannot on their own meet their basic needs, for one reason or the other. We know that this is the case. In Kaduna, we know that there are millions of people who this is their reality. Oftentimes, when we design programs to assist people in this situation, we make one fundamental mistake, and that mistake is that we forget that when people find themselves in this extremely vulnerable position, call it poverty, call it extreme poverty, call it whatever it is that you want to call it, that this condition is self-perpetuating. So that's very big English to say it's like a disease. It doesn't get better, it gets worse. So I'll give you an example. If you lost your job today, all your bills will not stop because you lost your job. You will still have bills. But then your first instinct would be to try and find a job. And in the time it's taking you to find a job, your bills are piling up. So assuming you got a job after 2 months, the first salary you would earn, say the same salary you were earning before, you would have to use that salary that you're earning to settle a debt of 3 months that has piled up, which would be impossible for you to do. So you would automatically go into a debt cycle. Every time you get a salary, you would have to use that to deal with some of your present needs and deal with some of the past debt. And the debts will keep on growing until you find yourself in a position where you can't keep up and then you crash again. So let's assume someone is in extreme poverty. They only make 100 naira a day. And we give them a cash handout of 10,000 naira. We know that they will spend about 80% of that on food. So they have 2,000 naira left. And that 2,000 naira will go to settle all the debts they've had piled up. And in less than 2 weeks, they have back to where you were. And so if we design singular one-off interventions as social welfare programs, they just do not work. So the question is, how do we design? And we have to also remember that government, in a way, government doesn't have unlimited amount of money. At least we are Kaduna State government officials, and we know the status of Kaduna State government finances presently. So government also has to manage its debt and its revenue. So government cannot give out an unlimited amount of welfare, cannot give them 10,000 naira. So that puts us in a bind. And I think the challenge is how do we, for social welfare programs, give 10,000 naira to someone who needs it, that will be able to use the 10,000 naira, meet their needs, but then be able to generate 10,000 naira. And believe me, it is incredibly difficult.
So you still kept us angry because we're now afraid. We are now afraid because we're thinking you would take us to the promised land, like tell us that it is doable, design like this, but we are seeing more. We're getting worried with the analysis you're putting forward because it seems that the methodology that is being used to remove people out of poverty might not necessarily be the tool that is supposed to be used to remove them out of poverty. So if that is the case, I'm going to throw to UNICEF. What do we think should be and this is from what Jim has said, what do we think are the best approach to design? Okay, you want to answer it. Okay, so before we come to you, just you're going to talk about designing programs and what you want, but let's hear what Jim has to say. What do you think can you recommend? Because so that while addressing poverty, we don't have people that fall, into those categories of people that are abusing drugs because they want to live each day at a time, or we don't have people that are utilizing drugs because they want to expend so much energy in generating money, more money for their household. So, what do we do?
So to quickly answer that question, the reason why I went through the analysis was so that we appreciate some of the people who were on the previous panel, the gentleman over there, the head of KADSIPA, people like UNICEF, and those people whose job it is to manage programs that have interventions for social welfare. Because the reason why I made that explanation is to understand just how difficult the job that they have to do is. The second reason why I spelled this out is because if the assumption is that government being primarily responsible for this can do it alone, then that's a false assumption because no government can achieve this alone. The third reason is because these problems happen at the community level. Every one of us lives in a community. We know those people in our communities that are rich. We know those people in our communities that are middle. And we know those people in our communities that are poor. At some point in our history, we felt a certain sense of duty or responsibility to whichever community we found ourselves in. So once in a while, you would do something for that poor person in your community, not because you know them, but because they are in the same community. You will find that I know that my dad would pay school fees for kids in the community who were poor, not because they were related to us, but because they are in our community. It's just something that we did. We don't do that thing. We've lost the sense of community. And why that is an issue is because if government can't do it alone, and we no longer feel a sense of responsibility to do something for the community that we exist in, there's no solution to this problem. And so the way out is, yes, government has a responsibility. Partners like UNICEF can help out, but it comes down to each and every one of us feeling a sense of responsibility to the community that we find ourselves and putting in however little we can. That is the only thing that can have the kind of multiplier effect that is sustainable enough to move any community from this point to this point. And I'll give you an example of how this is working in one of our communities. I keep picking on the DG of KADSIPA, who's pretending like you can't hear me.
Your attention is needed.
So Oga Mekudi, like his name implies, is a very big man, a very, very rich man. And I came to see him to tell him about a program we were doing in Rigasa with about 200 children and how we needed support. Obviously, we all know how government is and things like that. But he gave the very little support he gave on a personal note for that.
Please, a round of applause for our I'm coming to beg you on what. Yes, Joe has exposed you, so we are coming to beg you.
When that support comes in, now this is what I want to actually illustrate to you. Remember, this is not government support, this is personal support.
Yes.
If we take that money, because what we want to use it to do is to provide food for the 200 kids that are coming. If we take that money and give to the caterer, I'm looking for a caterer and say, my brother whose wife is a caterer. And I give him the money so that it helps his family, right? What happens after that 200,000 is gone, or however that much is? The issue ends there. But Abu is a rich man. I don't need to be giving his wife contract.
I go to Regaza and I ask for a caterer from that same community. Now, this caterer, I will give you this money to provide food for these children. But the condition is you must employ 5 of these children and train them as caterers. So the money comes from a donor. I pay this person, but they use that money to provide a service and pay salary to these kids that they're training. So every time I get a donation, it goes to keep this woman's business alive. She uses it to pay for these people's livelihood, and it provides food that feeds these other people. If you run this cycle for long enough, this woman becomes big enough to maybe move out of the community. But she has 5 or 10 new caterers she has created in this community that can take care of themselves. But it begins not with government fund, but with a contribution from a rich man that is used judicially within that.
Thank you so much. So, a life cycle approach, Joe has just given us a little example of how it's done. I am thinking in my head that can we stop aiming for reducing 1 million people out of poverty and go for a number that would ensure that the cycle is sustained? I'm thinking because we are looking for recommendation of a well-designed program to reduce poverty in Kaduna State, and looking at this angle of a life cycle approach. Could it be that we're going to be looking at how to strengthen the system at the community level, which we build around livelihood support for households to stand on their own? So I think something we're going to probably recommend in the communique that we will do. So over to you, Mark, UNICEF. What is UNICEF doing to support states as a social policy specialist? What are we expecting from UNICEF to support states in reducing poverty in Kaduna?
Okay, thank you. Before I answer, you know, you actually told me, from the last,
you can go ahead and still join down.
I'm just saying that I just want to say that when we talk about social protection, it's not only about like giving whether cash, food, or whether materials to beneficiaries, but we go beyond that. Exploring all avenues to ensure, like we said, pulling people out of poverty. Now, and those that are vulnerable to, ensuring that they don't fall into poverty. And one of the strategies for us, like UNICEF, we look at is also the area of empowerment. So when you empower, I was just talking outside when I was called, and we're talking about there's a program, the state is thinking of empowering women. And I was saying, okay, since UNICEF is specialized in, children, we would like to support women because we believe when women are empowered, they impact, in the lives of children. So when you empower people with skills, and that is why sometimes UNICEF is conditional. We want to know in what skill you have to, have a skill, or so that when we empower, it's not, when we give, it's not only that it's a one-time thing, people just use it and go back like we're discussing. But they will really be empowered to get out of poverty. But in terms of strengthening, system, what you have been doing, I'm coming now to my question. When strengthening social protection, through policies and also ensuring legislation, because if you don't put policies and legislation in place, then uh, those systems, don't really function well or they fall, by the side. And so we encourage governments to, build social protection frameworks, in terms of, policies for state governments to develop social protection policies. By the way, I know that in our states, they have a social protection policy, but we have to be updated because, our realities are changing, things are coming up. Yeah. So we have to, update the policy to reflect our current realities and to ensure that every aspect is being considered. We also, support and encourage government to, enact legislations that, will look into, social protection to ensure that, it becomes, a right that everyone, has to. When we talk about social protection, it's not only, for the poor and vulnerable, but, it covers everyone. Yeah. Leaving no one behind. Yes. So what does that mean? It means that if we have these systems in place, um, when you're looking at just a particular group of people, um, gradually somebody falls into that. And we're talking about the social register. If somebody is not in the register, then there's no place, to really capture. And for example, when we talk about the COVID, realities, people found themselves. But if there are systems in place, it's just something that government will just, get up and implement. And that is where innovation comes in to, help government to, set systems in place. Okay. Thank you very much. We're going to go to Ministry of Human Services and Social Development. Can I just maybe if I don't have time, let me just quickly say something. We're going to come back to have the second question and it's still on this. Okay. So you just wrap up. Okay, thank you. So how effective can you see the social investment and social welfare interventions under the again, I need to say that Ministry of Human Services and Social Development is one of the biggest ministries in Kaduna State. It houses women, children, persons with disability, youth. They are all housed under the Ministry of Human Services. So if you are looking for beneficiaries for the interventions of social protection, it's actually domiciled at the Ministry of Human Services and Social Development. So how well are these interventions?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Musa Adi. I'm the project coordinator innovation under the Ministry of Human Services and Social Protection. First of all, the views of everyone here is aired, and that there are key factors that I want to consider. Maybe we need to operationalize who is available. That's one. And then poverty, as my elder brother said, is relative. It's relative. So if we're talking about vulnerability and the what do you call them? Then the poverty. The issue that we're talking about just rally around monetary. Alhamdulillah, all our partners here, KADSIPA, KADSMA, and our sponsors, the UNICEF, because the program where I'm heading in the state is supported by UNICEF directly. We had graduated to set of children conflict with the law. So now the third batch are in, there are 40. The Executive Secretary of Disability Against Board, he said, is an witness, with the support from UNICEF. At the moment, we are having children taking them to basically teach university, but they are those children in conflict with the law. So certainly those policies are
When you say conflict with the law, that
committed offenses. Yes. And then when it comes to the issue of Al-Majiri, I know there's a move between Ministry of Human Service and KADSPAC to enroll those children to benefit from the service of KADSPAC.
Yeah.
And then also the issue of Kadusa comes in because we know we have children that are there.
Yes.
So there are two categories of children. Those that are in conflict with the law and those that are in contact with the law. So immensely, what I would say here is more collaboration between the UNICEF, they are here, and I want to say categorically, the Save the Children, UNICEF, they are our major, I would say with authority that are our major supporters.
But
Yes.
we still need more, right?
Yes, we still need more. Because we even receive supply to send the dignity kit for both children, men children and men children in one.
Okay, thank you very much. So from our discussion, I've gathered that so much is happening. But it seems it's just a drop in the ocean. Because we have so much issues around economic factors, especially now that inflation is around 35%. It looks like we are resolving issues and more issues are coming up. So just in 1 minute for each of the panelists, kindly tell us how do you think we can navigate around the current economic status and ensure that all the vulnerable groups that we have been mentioning have been removed or have, we are scaling them up from that name, the poorest of the poor, at least to have some succor in their households. So what do you think we need to do? Yeah, in 1 minute, your recommendation. The rapporteurs, I hope you are taking notes because it's going to form a communique at the end of today's meeting. Go ahead, sir.
In my view, the first way we need to do is collaboration.
Okay.
It's one of the major because I'm collaborating with KADSIPA, KADSMA, UNICEF, and other stakeholders. The deficiency can come from the deficiency. They come with us and then the KADSMA and then. So to be honest, one of the major things that we should have a collaboration with all the relevant stakeholders. So if you can come in and then synergize the things, I am optimistic that inshallah, okay, we can make a limited lifespan.
Okay, but sorry, I wanted us to go around, but because of what you just said, I'm thinking we have a social protection management information system. You are aware, right? What of WDP? Because you have beneficiaries, KADSPAC has beneficiaries, KADSIPA have beneficiaries. Are we not looking at addressing the issue of wastage of resources when this person is targeting similar people, this one is targeting similar, and then we'll are doing different interventions to that one person, and we're not seeing results? Do we not think that we also have to look at how to manage, bring our data together, and be able to move the resources around?
I never wanted to say it, but let me be honest with you. When it comes to the issue of that they are calling of social register, I think maybe because we said that poverty is relative. How sure that my situation will not change over time, and I'm still there benefiting as someone. So they thank God that he admitted that of course they need to view and then identify those.
But that now, in the social register, is one of our major problem, all of us, because we are using the data, you understand, to reach your beneficiaries. But that's why I said, what is it? The situation will change because it's still there in that register.
Okay.
So if we harmonize and review and then update the register, of course, this problem you're calling.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank
you.
Yes, I think it's a four-step process and not in any particular order. We need to increase resource mobilization. We need to look at where do we get resources from? Where do we raise funds? We become used to some of the traditional sources of funds. It's the International Donor Organization, World Bank. I think we start being a bit more innovative at looking at what are alternative sources of revenue that we can look at to support these kinds of social intervention. But the first thing is resource mobilization. The second thing is community mobilization. I've heard quite a bit about community engagement, and I think that's a bit different than community mobilization. We often talk about community engagement when we come into communities and tell them what we want to do and how it benefits them and how they can support us to implement what we want to do. I think it's time we start coming into communities and telling them that this is the challenge we have. How do we solve it? And really mobilize the community to contribute whatever it is that they can to solving that problem. Besides just being engaged to receiving, communities are dynamic and they can contribute to solving problems. So we need to look at community mobilization. These two things go towards resources. The third thing is coordination. We need to be sure, like you just said, and my brother here has just said, that when we raise these resources, we're not wasting it.
Yes.
And we're not wasting it because of mismanagement. We're not wasting it because we can't keep track of who has collected, who hasn't collected, where did they collect. So coordination is very, 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 very key. And the fourth step now betrays my age because I've forgotten what it was that I was thinking before what should be. And I know that so let me hear the end of this. But I don't remember what the fourth thing was, but maybe if it comes back to me. But these are the three that I remember now, and it was a fourth component, but I can't remember. So resource mobilization, community mobilization, coordination, and the fourth thing where maybe during the network, I remember I'll just shout it out.
Thank you. I'm going to expose you to the world. You're becoming old. Yes, sir.
Okay, I totally agree with the position of Dr. Joe. But I want to say that it's quite important that doing all of that Joe has recommended, which is key. We need to all identify our different roles and responsibilities. For the community or for the vulnerable population, they need to understand exactly what the impact of whatever support they are getting is to them and why it is being done. Day in, day out, we cannot be thinking the woman is vulnerable only to the point that she'll be producing children year in, year out, and then that keeps her vulnerable. And that means we must mainstream support to that. So they need to understand, the vulnerable population also need to understand what's their role in helping to eliminate this vulnerability and balance people. And secondly, again, like Joe mentioned, the resource mobilization is key, but we need to also be able to identify at different levels where these resources were coming from.
Yeah.
There are different levels of pooling from the government, certainly, but like Joe also said earlier, the government does not have overflowing budget.
Yeah.
So it means we must prioritize what actions we need to put out there. So again, what will be the role of those within communities that will help to adapt to complement government efforts? For example, that is done in contributory schemes here now when we have people coming to say we want to pay for a certain number of other population within our midst, and what the company is doing, what the other, so like that. All of these need to come in to really believe in helping to be able to reduce this issue of vulnerability and risk within our communities. I completely agree with you. This community engagement need to continue to happen because fundamentally it's one major channel we can use to continue to discuss and get people within our communities understand what their groups are and how we can really take ourselves out of that as well.
Thank you. KADSIPA.
Yeah, I have 2 points to make. First one about database.
Yeah.
KADSIPA, by the help of SPAC, have developed harmonized database. Now that can avoid duplication of what do you call it? Interventions. Yeah, I can hotel that.
Yeah.
Now the second point is with our beneficiaries, if we can mentor and coach them on the little stipend that they are taking, train them on some trading, maybe also doing some contribution. Also, that can always help them and bring them out of poverty, and it will continue to give them sustainability.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to say that it's true that UNICEF gives some financial support, but that's just a drop in the ocean. Yeah, the needs, you can see is vast, and so our, end objective is to support government, technically on either the interventions or even in how to raise finance. Yeah, so yes, because most of them are spread. If they have said it, each of them is how finances are very very limited, the funds. But this is where we come in UNICEF, and that's why we talk about one of the strategies that we use is the fiscal space government to really address the issue of finance. Secondly, is to also look at when government is either national or state, to develop, at the point of developing, the development plan, is to ensure that this is not a second thought. It's actually, there at that point, the social, protection, issues should be addressed right at the development plan. So government will begin to look at the different aspects. Then we're talking about also, ensuring the universal coverage. And there's a term we use, the progressive, realization. You might not have all the resources to, meet everyone. But like you said, there are different levels of poverty. Maybe the World Bank has given us the definition, yes, for poverty. So those are the very, very poor. You can begin with that, what sector you progress as you also begin to master the fiscal space and get more funds, and progress in intervention, moving, because we have said that it's supposed to be universal, it's supposed social protection, it's supposed to be for everybody. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, just a quick one to highlight our comments. The first, we've spoken about how we can engage, we can do bottom to top approach. Instead of we are the ones feeding the community with strategies, can we go to them and tell them how vulnerable we are so that they suggest strategies to help us reduce poverty? Another thing we've spoken about is the universality of social protection and how it is important for us to collaborate and work together. Another aspect we've spoken about is to begin to target, even from the state development plan, what are the interventions each person, each sector is playing to reduce poverty. And that is why Kashma has said that we need to know each person's role. Let it be spelled out. My role on social protection is to ensure that I make sure these particular people, set of people, do not fall under poverty, and this is the reason why. So it's very critical we do that. For civil society, our work is to advocate, advocate, advocate. And we also do accountability in terms of going to track the resources and see where they are double dipping and the rest. Yesterday, um, I know DG Kashman was here when we did a financial strategy. You saw some of the areas that were recommended. We have 20%. We can reduce the 20% corruption money. It can be, the analysis is there, so we could share it with us so that we could use it as advocacy. There are loopholes in the whole system, and if we can, tease out this money locally, we can be able to use it to reduce poverty. Thank you very much. My panelists, we're very, very, very conversant with the issue. It's like a political. You will just know that it's the problem they solve every day in the office. They just have it at the tip of their fingers. So I'm going to hand over to the MC. We have questions for the panelists. Oh, I'm not even finished answering, but the hand is already going up. So if you have questions for the panelists, please go ahead, and I'm handing over to the MC to moderate.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we please appreciate the panelists as well as the moderator for the justice to this issue. It's been a very interactive session, a very, encouraging and sound session. It's now time for us to ask questions. I don't want us to use the previous pattern for the first session. However, if you have any question for the panelists, you may please raise your hands. One. Okay, let's do it this way. The Senate and our people, you also have one slot for this session. The Senate and our. Okay, so well, first of all, attend to this first question.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Timothy Sajo, from the Civil Society side. Based on the questions that we have asked, and then on the issue of seeing how successful the program is, I think one question, one thing that is bothering this social protection, where questions are asked around this, from even getting to the communities, there is a problem. And how will that problem be solved? Because we know that most of the times gatekeepers will meet. And by the time the gatekeepers are met, they are the ones that do the mobilization, bring these people. But we have seen situations whereby they say it's the most vulnerable people that needs to be involved in that. But it would interest you to know that first names that are in the list are the names of those people. Their names, their children, their family members. They are the first people that are always in that list. And after that, before the vulnerable get involved, they have to look for their neighbors and their friends also to be in that register. So how do you desegregate this in that? That is one question that is supposed to be looked at. Then secondly, on the issue of seeing the issue of people responding or people benefiting from it. The man for Soko the other time talked about updating this register after 3 years. We know that it's capital intensive. But if you want to move on, I think those 3 years is expanded. Looking at the situations, there are changes. People live, they live to various locations. They change at their habit. And then by the time you come back after 3 years, maybe that person have left that community or is in another place within those 2 years. And by next year, maybe he's leaving that community. So I think, how will you address this issue of narrowing it to maybe 2 years and then maybe put updating or making an application that these things will be done online. We know that the vulnerable people are local people, they don't have access to this, so it is a problem. Then lastly, all these people I see, I expect the Bureau of Statistics to be here because most of these things, there are statistics that are taken. How do these agencies marry their reports and their information? The Bureau of Statistics, because most information are always generated from the Bureau of Statistics. Thank you very much.
Thank you. One more question. Thank you very much. My name is Salis Yusuf from Kano. One is a comment and another one is a suggestion. Maybe if possible, we are always talking about this social register. Can we apply what education sector is doing? Because I know every end of the year, there is the annual census, meaning we know now who migrate from primary to junior, from junior upwards to the university and all that. So if possible, if you can apply the same thing in our social register, we can equally factor to see who in that register and who are still vulnerable or poor or whatever we can call them. You understand? So in the suggestion, you can look into this issue and see how we can now look our social register. Secondly, we always mention state development plan. I believe if our social protection stick to the state development plan, most of this issue will be resolved. But sometimes the state development plan is here while the issue of social protection or intervention are on the other side. So let's see how we can now strategize and bring all together so that each one can speak to one another so that we can get it at the right of the end of the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, two last reactions. Gender balance, two ladies. Let's start from
Thank you very much. My name is Fatima Muhammad, Social Policy Specialist, Technical Office. First of all, I'd like to commend KADSPAC as the collaborator of the summit. I believe Jigawa, Kaduna, and Kano have learned a lot from the summit. And going forward, I'm sure there's another big bang of a summit coming up. So I'm not asking a question, actually. I'm just going to shed a little more light on what my colleague Wakidara has said about UNICEF's contribution to social protection in Kaduna State. So far, we have worked together with Save the Children International. And I know that the last time, I think sometime last year, we had a situational analysis of social protection policy implementation. You have a policy, you need to find out how far you have gone in terms of your implementation. Are you doing well, or do you need to review some things and what I can imagine issues we need to include into the policy? So we've done a good job on that, and I think the next step is for us to review the social protection policy. So apart from that, there's also the issue of the universal child grant. I was excited yesterday. I was online when I saw the speech of the governor, when I heard him talking about universal child grant. It's a new area where we are looking at in Nigeria generally. So the federal government and Kano and Kaduna has expressed their interest to pilot the same universal child grant. So I was so excited when I saw that Kaduna is even one step ahead about designing universal child grant. So for me, if we're looking at the life cycle approach for social protection, the universal child grant is the first step. You want to invest in human capital development, you start with children, and then the life cycle approach is actually implemented. We are all witness of the protest. We saw how young children, very little underage children, were part of the protest, not knowing what was happening, but just joining the band. So we realized how much we really need to invest in children in terms of social protection to ensure that the life cycle approach is being implemented. Thank you very much, and I look forward to ensuring that UNICEF is here. We will always support the Kaduna State in terms of social protection. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, UNICEF. You know, sometimes when the partners are speaking, you need to allow them because as they recommend, money is coming. So please, we continue to appreciate your comment. One last comment from this end.
Please, just 1 second. I want to wrap up because my panelists are leaving for another meeting. So can we just get the question in 2 seconds?
Okay. Thank you. My name is Rizka Mohammed, Executive Director of Women with Disabilities. My question is on persons with disability enrollment in the register. Actually, to me, it's high time for Nigeria to change the way we capture persons with disability. We need to look at the broader perspective of persons with disability. When you look at the register, it talks about physically challenged and other things clusters. And the issues of disability is broader. Some aspect or that some section of disability are not well captured. And when we are talking about until we get it right, we broaden it, use Washington questionnaire, something that it will capture both the physically challenged, hearing impaired, other mental disability, with health disability, so that the ages that are having disability will also be captured. We have a broader perception of disability until everybody, every aspect of disability are well captured. We will always have issues. Some people will still be neglected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we're handing over back to the moderator for the responses.
Okay, so there are a couple of questions. Joe, you want to respond to the one from Kano and the first person that spoke here?
Yes, I think the question about data and updating data, this is 2024. And one thing we must acknowledge is that technology has moved very far. We don't have to rely on the way we used to keep data, where every 2 years, every 5 years, every 10 years. Yes, we could do those, but it's actually similarly easy for us to build systems that can be updated regularly. So these systems can update themselves, and at each point you can get a report. I know Bureau of Statistics is doing that. I know KADSIPA is also doing that. So we don't have to wait for 2, 3 years. But when a particular situation changes, it should be captured at that moment so that the data is available. On the issue of gatekeepers and how we manage these situations, this is one of the places that I may disagree with the approach of CSO, Community Service Organization, community society organization, civil society organizations. And that's because I think civil society organizations, when they talk about advocacy, when they talk about accountability, their focus always seems to be government. You are a community-based organization that are civil society organization. And it is your job, it is your duty to hold that community accountable. It is your job to identify these gatekeepers and address that issue. That is exactly why you exist. So when government is relating with the CSO, we assume that you know how to sort out those problems. You cannot be coming to us to sort out the problems that is on your side of the fence to do. So if you have identified the gatekeepers, you have identified these problems, what I'm hoping to hear at the next summit is how do CSO address the issue of gatekeeping in communities and do that effectively so that government can be held accountable for the one that is on our side of the fence. Thank you.
Oh, I thank you. Please, let's give Dr. George a round of applause. So I love the comment. We are going to go to Kashman. We know he's also ensuring that the sensors are accountable, right? And KADSIPA, they say the next one should tell them all which we are making community people accountable. So it's another recommendation from this panel. I think he has responded to all the questions. Let me give it to. Okay, relocation. You have like relocation and data capturing so that we close. You want to respond to that? Okay, you want to respond?
Yes, the gentleman asks about capturing wrong people sometimes, and also what do we do with people of relocations? Now, KADSIPA has adopted a system. When we go to the field with the number given to us to capture as to enroll as beneficiaries, we make sure we go to their low cost, and then we ask them. For example, Jessica is a beneficiary. We ask her to tell us names of her household. If she's able to do that, as she's calling their names, we are checking at our books to see if it rhymes. If it does not rhyme, then we know that this is not the correct household. Concerning relocation, we do the same thing. As we go to their houses, to their household, through the community leaders or Nyangwa, they will not tell us these people are relocated. So what we do is we come back with a report, take it back to where this data were sent from, and then they will reselect some other household. Then they send it to us. We go and enroll them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we've come to the end of this panel discussion. I hope it was very educative and enlightening. We've learned some things that these agencies are currently doing to reduce poverty in Kaduna State. So I'm going to hand over to the MC. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think the panelists deserve more and upload, please. We will please appreciate that. And so to appreciate the moderator for doing justice to this session. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're coming towards the end of this summit, this very day 2 of the Kaduna State Social Protection Summit 2024. We appreciate our distinguished invited guests as some of them take their leave back to their respective destinations for other important engagements.
So, in fact, I think the best program we had was very
Very shortly, we'll have the closing ceremony of this very important engagement. I will seek your indulgence to please exercise a bit of patience with us as we play a video interlude on social protection in the state. So ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this video presentation on social protection in the state.
I was the staff of planning and transformation, where we contributed activities of the development partners that are working with Kaduna State. We started point with Save the Children was the development of social protection policy for the state. Save the Children efforts to develop the social protection one of the people that were contacted in the policy was developed. And we also wanted to form the state level committee for the social protection programs in the state which are recommended. So the section of April in 2016, the Save the Children program supported also a lot of activities and programs. It's been about 2 years ago, and we continue to support. So we have had a very cordial relationship, and the state has been a tremendous support to support in all our activities. The state has been a great support and will continue capacity building, which is 50% is half of the unit and half of the steering committee, working to enhance our capacity to build social protection. The support for Kaduna State started sometime in 2019, and it was nice that it was just at the point where I was appointed to the room, so we just hit the ground running as soon as the program was supported yesterday that was appointed. In fact, I think the best program we had was very like the CBGP program was very like 2 weeks after my appointment. I think the next month after, I was actually to be one of the people that was sent on training in Thailand on social protection system. Just at about the time COVID hit, we started developing the Kaduna social protection policy. So the children supported, providing us with consultants, technical assistance in that regard. Support has also provided what we have done with the social protection policy. We did the implementation plan, we got supported by Save the Children. And sometimes there's one thing I can get back. When we were done with that, we took on the legislation because I think we're done with the policy of the government of cases. I think just a handful of states have social protection policies, only 5 or 6 states. And then we tackled the law. We began drafting the legislation. We provided support in terms of getting the legislative arm of government to get their buy-in support. So we conducted several activities with them to get them to understand the work that we were doing so that by the time we were done with the law and we got to them, we would have a smooth passage. For the social protection policy to really achieve the corporate areas of the related in order to monitor and evaluate the programs that we are doing. So, and we didn't have any organization of the social protection policy. So, the Save the Children International helped us, the consultant who helped in developing the NID framework, the social protection programs in the implementation and our major role is mind creation, meaning that we have a role to go out there, keep educating people, let them know what's upon the way. We don't know. And we say that allows people to actually enroll into a social scheme. When the sole purpose of the children that our process program is brought to the highest minimum level. So at the end of the day, people in the community will have access, okay, accessibility to healthcare so she the compromise in terms of quality or what we call strategic position to help manage quality. As a community initiative, Kaduna people, and not be out there without the necessary measures to put up for the because this is the visibility that allows people to really say, okay, this is factual. You know that this is factual, but understand what factual is. And that's where now that is very suitable to come in to support all the factual. So I'm trying to be able to design a communication platform that allows us to deliver ensure that information messages I need to material to understand that are supposed to actually get to the lives of the life are being supported by the children. So we feel like supported us in developing this communication as well. And we not only allow people in the community to understand exactly what's happening and how they start to impact how that impact their life to community.
Unfortunately, I can't show the practice and we have this establishing to becoming the accountability mechanism of the protection with the support of HUI. KADSPAC has really decided to media working collaboratively with the state government to ensure that there's accountability and transparency in the execution of data protection mechanisms in Kaduna. There were so many good practices of social protection work that save the children successfully. We also provided technical assistance support. We have two people on the top of the system, a huge burden of our necks because we have people who could focus addressing social protection issues as opposed to the courses that have had several different responsibilities that they were handling. With the support of the children, we build our capacity to be able to track, monitor, and ensure that the implementation of social protection activities and the community level in citizens outside what the government is doing. So it was very interesting to see how with the benefit of hindsight, we're able to see that the flip side, sometimes you can't see them. I would say it was one of the best relationships we had with women or partners in the state.
Thank you very much for that beautiful documentary that was supported by Save the Children International on ESPID projects. As you can see, it was looking at social protection long before now, the successes. I'm sure the KADSIPA SC is getting ready to document all the successes of social protection from 2023 till when the administration is going to roll over. I'm going to quickly, as our lunch is being served, I'm going to quickly run through the budget tracking report for KADSPAC. So we're going to talk about what we're able to see during our tracking. Okay, so social protection budget performance in Kaduna State. Okay, so this report examines the social protection budget trends in a challenging economic environment characterized by high inflation, which is approximately 35%, and a high poverty rate of 8 points. Elijah, it is not showing. And a high poverty rate of 8.04 million people in Kaduna State. The current situation, just like I said, inflation rate is at 35%. People living below $2.15, which is now the benchmark for. Yes, so we have 49.9% of people who live below $2.5 per day. We have 44.3% unemployment rate. Please, can our media people hold on so that we can just finish this session? It's becoming very rowdy. This is a very important document that you need to listen to. Elijah, this thing is tripping up. We have unemployment at 44.3%. We have out of school children in Kaduna State of 660,000. Then again, poverty is at 8.04. The total population from Bureau of Statistics projected for Kaduna State is 10.4 million. The sources of this data is the OSC and poverty data for Bureau of Statistics and the National Bureau of Statistics NPI 2022. Okay. The next is the food inflation, January 2023 to June 2024. Currently, if you go to the market to buy food items, you will want to run away from the amount that you are going to see. You are going to run away from the market from the amount you are going to see. They sold yam for me. Mata, lawyer now and then the share kasuwa. Lawyer. Quiet. Karami dubu biyu. Dubu biyu. Guda ɗaya da zai ishe mu duka a gidan mu ci. So the current situation has become. I should continue. Okay. Okay, so buying food is so difficult now because of the current situation we are in. The next slide is budget allocation and the actual spending. So in 2024, the budget is around 41.71 billion. 41 billion 71 billion. And as of June 2024, the government has spent 16.99 billion. Budget performance 2021 to 2024. So in 2021, we have 18.1% performance. In 2022, we had 45.3%. You can see that there is a downward trend. So you have 18.1%. Then we just went down to 45%. In 2023, the electionary year, it increased with about 3%, and we have 48.1%. Then in 2023, at the end of the year of 2023, it also increased to 59.5% in terms of the performance of the budget. In 2024 half year, we have 40.7% performance in terms of what the government has expended for social protection by June 2024. What we are seeing is that in 2021, post-COVID, there were a lot of interventions for social protection happening in Kaduna State. And so you could see that the performance, went to 80.1%. But then, as the year, we kept moving, went to electioneering, there was a decrease in 2022 and then an increase to 59.5%. Now, the challenge is that the amount of money that was allocated for social protection in 2021, the impact is higher than that of 2024. The reason, because of inflation and a lot of economic factors. So if, for instance, we have around 10 billion in 2021 allocated for social protection, it did more than our current budget of 44.1 billion for social protection. As I earlier said, our total amount allocated for social protection, look at the multi-sectoral approach, is 44.1 billion. And this is where the performance is for 2023. And this is where we are currently in 2024. Next slide. So again, in the very just like I said, if you notice, we have a minus. We went down like from 2021 to 2022. And then from 2022, there was an increase of 14.1% in terms of the budget that was allocated, the performance for social protection. And then here already, we are seeing that we have already reached 14.1%. So we are assuming that at the end of the year, we might reach that 80% of budget, because from January to June, the government has spent about 40.1% for social protection. So budget performance disaggregated by MTA. KADSIPA, see your percentage here. Okay, so we have ASHMA here. As of 2023 2024, this green is the performance, the performance budget ASHMA 2023. This is 2024, this is 2023. ASHMA has spent 100% of its budget allocation as of 2023. It had 100% contract. While in 2024, currently, there are 68%. Ministry of Human Services and Social Development, the only amount that we can, when the Ministry of Human Services, you can hear me. You have 54.39% performance. We have pensions that are at 53% in 2024 currently, and 2023 151%. This is because they had a backlog of payments that are supposed to be made that was done up to 2023. So you see that the percentage that increased is not supposed to be 181%, but you have 100% performance, and then you have the backlog that had to be captured in 2023. So these are the abnormalities that we normally see in our analysis. And we hope that they will be seeing this kind of things so that they understand that budget should be, the performance should be done according to them. When you roll over the amount that you're supposed to expend in 2023 to another year, it is not our performance. We have Ministry of Agri at 89% for this year, and for last year, this is the performance for Agri, 2%. Kaduna currently is at 12%. Last year, they did 4% of their total allocation. So if their allocation was around 400 million, it means that they only got 4 million, for instance. KADSIPA, for this year, we've not gotten any budget, we've not gotten anything. But for 2023, we did 100% of what their budget was allocated for. So we have scholarship board. They have not also given us any report for this year, zero. But for last year, they did 34%. The Ministry of Business, Innovation and Technology, this year, there's no performance, meaning there is not any money for any activity. And so this report is for last year and 8%. Ministry of Health. Ministry of Health has different programs. We have the activities under the State Primary Health Care Board. We have HACMA, we have KADSIPA. The total amount allocated under that ministry for social protection for last year, they did 5% of it. And for this year, nothing has been done yet. All the ministries that you can see here have not provided any data for 2020. It's not like they've not done anything. But you cannot verify what they've done. Because the data we are using is the report of the Accountant General and Auditor General's report for 2023. And this data is not showcasing that you've done anything in that sector for social protection. Next slide. So, per capita distribution under review for each of the ministries. Per capita is what is our budget? We are going to divide it by income. What is the budget providing support for and that ministry? You will notice that CNT is 60 naira. If you divide what CNT budget is to beneficiaries under their project, is 60 naira per person. If you divide disability board, it's 13 naira per person. Because there is a benchmark by the Universal Declaration for how much the per capita should be spending for each job. And you can see that some of these ministries are not reaching that amount. We only have the highest here for pension review, which is around 1,683 naira per person. Next. So again, we are talking about the distribution calculated by year. So in 2021, we have 3.7% of distribution that is the benchmark. Then for 2022, we have 2.84. For 2023, 3.24. But for the half year of 2021, we saw an improvement in the amount of the percentage across ministries for the per capita spending. Next slide. Okay, so I think this is the last slide. The reason why we actually present these findings is so that we see the gap existing across ministries that are social protection related ministries. It helps us to know what we need to advocate for, the gaps, the challenges, and the way forward. For instance, it is easy for anybody to pick up this document and know the NGA that is performing well in terms of getting resources to cater for the poor and vulnerable beneficiaries. It is also easy to know which of the NGA is not performing, and then we know why. Is it due to lack of capacity to be able to write memos, for instance, and get resources? Is it due to prioritization of other interventions that are not social protection interventions? What are the challenges that will make a ministry to have 100%, another one 0%? So that is the reason why we normally do our own tracking so that we can engage government on how to support these NPAs with resources to implement their activities. I think I've come to the end of my presentation. Do we have any questions? Oh, is I can tell now, are you sure you heard what I said? I can tell when I'm taking a view of our attention. Okay, so I'm going to close so that we can eat
and do your networking and go. The KADSIPA SA has given me the mandate to scale as a partner. I want to appreciate everybody for coming for the Social Protection Summit 1.0. I'm giving it to me. It's 1.0 because we are going to be doing 2.0 very soon. We don't know when. So, did we enjoy ourselves for this summit? Are you sure? You are eating, oh, you have to answer yes, oh, because that food was part of the summit. So, did you enjoy yourself? Okay. Thank you very much on behalf of Kaduna Social Development Program Agency and Kaduna Social Protection and Accountability Coalition. With the support of UNICEF, please let's give a big round of applause to UNICEF. They are here. Let's give another big round of applause to Save the Children for supporting this summit. We hope next year we'll have World Bank, we'll have PMGN, all supporting the summit. And I'm sure that if we have more support, we're going to keep this fun. Thank you very much. I wish us safe journey back to our various destinations. Emily. Oh, okay. So Emily has really said that we should just close and go. DJ, is that man I can do? Oh, is that man I can do? Angoma. Okay, so want to snap picture, right? It's time to snap picture. Want to snap picture? Yes. Our guest from